Quick note before we start. This video isn't meant to scare you away from Aussies. It's an honest conversation about the breed. Not every Aussie has these problems. Plenty are easy, calm, and fit right into normal family life. But enough don't, and that's why rescue listings are full of 2-year-old Aussies surrendered by people who genuinely loved them and just weren't prepared.
Almost none of these dogs end up in shelters because they're bad dogs. They end up there because they were the wrong match, and nobody found out until it was too late. So watch, honestly. If you finish this list thinking, I can handle that, you're about to get one of the best dogs of your life. Let's get into it.
A tired Australian Shepherd is a myth, like a unicorn or a dog that doesn't want the thing you're eating. You take this dog on a 5-mile run. You're sweating, you're done, you're thinking about the couch, and it's staring at you, waiting. Like, that was the warm-up, right? What's next? Here's the number that actually broke my brain when I read it. These dogs were bred to work a full day. Not an hour, a day, moving livestock across open range dawn to dusk, covering, some absurd amount of ground. Somebody clocked working herders at over 50 miles in a single day. 50! And then they do it again the next morning.
So you've got that engine, that exact engine, living in your apartment, which has, a couch and a hallway? And people go into it thinking they'll just manage it, take the edge off. A walk in the morning, a walk at night, done. No, that doesn't take the edge off. That is the appetizer. You are, without meaning to, training an athlete, a furry little marathon runner, who now expects that every day, forever, because you did it once and now it's the deal. The cruel part? Physical exercise isn't even the main thing. You can run this dog to exhaustion, and the brain's still going. Still needs a job, still needs a puzzle, a task, a problem to chew on. I used to think high energy was just a phrase breeders put on the label to sound impressive. Turns out it's a warning. It's not a personality trait. It's a lifestyle you didn't agree to. You ever meet a dog that has opinions about your schedule? Because that's what you're signing up for. Not a pet, a supervisor. This is a herding breed, right? And the thing about herders is they don't switch it off just because there's no sheep around. That instinct needs a target. And in the average house, the target is you.
Your kids, the other dog, the mail carrier, God help them. The Aussie has decided the family needs to be in one place, moving in an orderly fashion, and it will enforce this. Nipping at heels, circling, herding the toddler back toward the group like a tiny escaped lamb. And they watch you constantly. Genuinely tracking your patterns. When you get up, what shoes mean a walk versus what shoes mean you're leaving, the exact sound of you reaching for the leash. You don't have a dog observing you. You have a dog managing you. People call them Velcro dogs, which sounds cute, sounds cuddly. It's not really about cuddling. It's about jurisdiction. You are its assignment. You go to the bathroom, it's coming. You move to a different room for literally no reason. It's up, it's following, it's clocking in. Here's what nobody tells you. That intensity, that constant read on you, it means you can basically never be boring around this dog because it's always waiting for the next instruction. Always on shift. So you don't get a companion who fits into your life, you get a colleague who has restructured your life into a job, and the job is the dog, and it does not offer paid leave. You're walking to the kitchen and something clamps on to the back of your heel. Not hard, not a bite exactly, more like a firm suggestion. That's your Aussie, And in his head, you've just wandered off from the flock, and he's correcting the situation. Here's what nobody tells you before you bring one home. These dogs were built, like deliberately over generations, to move livestock.
Sheep, cattle, whatever's out there, being slow and dumb and needing to go somewhere. And the way they move them is by nipping at the heels.
The kids running through the living room, the mailman, you carrying a laundry basket, all of it in the dog's mind is a herd that has scattered and needs gathering, and they're relentless about it. You'll be having people over, and your dog is quietly working the room, circling, positioning, trying to bunch everybody into one corner where he can keep an eye on them. Guests think it's cute for about 10 minutes.
I've always found this the funniest thing about the breed, honestly. You didn't get a pet. You got a middle manager who thinks your ankles are a payroll problem, who never clocks out, who genuinely believes the chaos would swallow you whole if he stopped for 1 second. Which, to be fair to him, sometimes it would. It's dark. You wake up for no reason. That animal sense that someone's watching you. And there he is, sitting beside the bed, perfectly still, just looking at you. 4 a.m, and the dog has decided the day should start now.
This is the part people underestimate. Everybody knows Aussies are smart. It's the first thing anyone tells you. Smartest breed, top 5, whatever. But smart is not the flex people think it is. Smart in a dog mostly means bored. And a bored Aussie is a problem-solving machine aimed directly at your sanity. Because here's the math. This is a brain built to make hundreds of independent decisions a day out in a field. Read the sheep, read the terrain, react, adjust, all of it without a human telling him what to do. Then you put that brain in an apartment, in a nice, quiet apartment, where the most interesting thing that happens is the dishwasher. So he invents jobs. He'll herd the cat, he'll learn how the door handle works, and I mean actually learn it, watch you, figure it out. He'll stare at you at 4 a.m. because in the absence of a task, you are the task. And you can't out-tire him. You think you can. You go for the long walk, you throw the ball till your arm gives out. You come home feeling like a responsible owner. The dog is not tired. The dog is warming up. Physical exercise barely touches it. It's the head that needs work, and the head does not wear out. So he sits there, in the dark, watching, waiting for you to admit the day has begun. A friend of mine had one of these dogs figure out that the treat jar lived on top of the fridge. Not reach it, figure out the sequence. Drawer, counter, fridge handle for leverage, up. 3-step plan. The dog was maybe 8 months old. That's the thing nobody warns you about. You hear Australian Shepherds are smart, and you nod, and you think, oh nice, a smart dog. It'll learn tricks fast. Sure, it'll learn tricks fast. It'll also learn which drawer the leash is in and what your keys sound like, and that when you put on those specific shoes, you're leaving, and it will start managing you, quietly. Smart in a dog is not the gift people think it is. A dumb dog is content. A dumb dog lies there. A smart dog is running background processes. It's watching. It's testing which rules you actually enforce and which ones you just say. And Aussies test constantly, like they're auditing your consistency all day long. I used to think the whole border collie's smarter cousin thing was breed club bragging. Turns out, no. These dogs were built to move livestock without a person telling them each step. That means independent problem solving. That means a brain that doesn't need you and kind of knows it. So you end up in this weird spot where the dog outsmarts you and you're almost impressed.
while also your trash keeps getting into, and the gate you thought was locked isn't, and the dog is sitting there watching you notice. They know. That's the part that gets me. They know they're ahead of you.
Picture the cushion. No, I said no visuals. Fine. Just know there was a cushion, and now there's a crime scene of foam confetti across the whole living room, and a dog in the middle of it looking, if anything, relaxed. Finally, productive day. Here's what people get wrong. They think destruction means the dog is bad, or angry, or acting out. It's not. It's a dog with a working brain and a full tank of energy, and absolutely nothing assigned to it. That's it. That's the whole equation. Aussies were bred to work a 10-hour day moving animals across a field. You gave it a chew toy and a walk around the block, so it made its own job. And the job it picks is always the couch, or the baseboards, or the corner of the drywall, which, genuinely, how? How does a dog decide to eat a wall? The energy doesn't go away because you ignore it. That's the trap. People think a tired dog and a bored dog look the same lying down, so they figure a nap fixed it. It didn't. It's charging. It's storing up. And the second you leave for, 90 minutes, all that stored up nothing to do finds an outlet, and the outlet is upholstery. You can't out-stubborn it either. This is not a dog you can just crate for 8 hours and call it handled. It'll rearrange its whole psychology around getting even. So yeah, love story, because you will love this dog deeply, right up until you walk in and the couch is gone. And then you'll love it again 10 minutes later because it looks so pleased with itself. Twice a year. That's what people tell you. Oh, Aussies blow their coat twice a year, spring and fall. You just deal with it for a couple weeks. And you nod, because that sounds manageable. 2 weeks, twice a year, fine. I can handle 4 weeks of hair total. That is a lie. Not on purpose, I don't think. It's just optimistic. The kind of thing people say because the alternative is admitting what they signed up for. Here's what actually happens. There's the 2 big blowouts, sure. And during those, it's not shedding, it's a shift. You pet the dog and come away with a fistful. You could stuff a pillow. And then, in between those 2 apocalypse events, you know what happens? More shedding. Just constantly. A steady, low-grade snow of undercoat that never stops. Ever. That double coat, the thing that makes them look so good, that's a fur factory running 12 months a year with no off switch. And it gets everywhere. On the couch, obviously. Your clothes, yeah. But then you find it in weird places. In your coffee, woven into a sweater you keep in a closed drawer. In food you're pretty sure the dog never got near. You'll buy a vacuum, then a better vacuum. Then you'll start describing your relationship with the dog partly in terms of the vacuum. That's a real thing that happens to Aussie people. Ask one. I used to think shedding was like a minor asterisk on a breed, a footnote. With an Australian Shepherd, it's more of a lifestyle, a recurring cost, a thing you're just in now. You will not be alone again. I want to be clear about the stakes here, because Velcro dog gets thrown around like it's cute. It's not cute. It's a shadow with anxiety. The bathroom is where it hits you first. You go in, you close the door, and there's a paw under the door. And a nose, and this low, wounded sound, like you've done something unforgivable by wanting 90 seconds of privacy. So you stop closing it. Everyone with an Aussie stops closing it eventually. You just give up. Australian Shepherds were bred to work alongside a person all day. That's the job.
Watch the human, read the human, stick to the human. Nobody bred out the sticking part when they moved into apartments. So now that instinct, which was genuinely useful on a ranch, it's aimed at you, just you, watching you make toast. And it's not like a lazy follow, it's active.
You get up to get water, the dog gets up. You sit back down, dog reassesses, resettles, watches. You move to a different room for literally no reason, and there's a whole reorganization happening behind you. Some people love this. I get it. There's something nice about being that important to something.
But you should know what you're choosing. This is a dog that experiences a closed door as a small betrayal that will follow you room to room to room forever, running the math on where you might go next. Alone time is over. That's the trade. You get maybe the most devoted animal on the planet, and in exchange, you hand over the concept of a door.
"2 hours. That's the floor, not the ceiling. Not 2 hours of a nice walk around the block either. I'm talking real, hard, tongue-out running exercise. Every day. Rain, snow, you're sick, you had a long day at work. Doesn't matter. The dog does not care. The dog woke up ready."
And here's what nobody tells you when you're looking at those puppy photos. It's not just the time. Okay, hang on, I can't say it that way. Let me back up. It's the time, yeah, but it's also that the time isn't optional. You can skip the gym, you can flake on brunch. You cannot flake on an Aussie, because a bored Aussie doesn't just sit there and be sad.
A bored Aussie finds a job, and the job it finds is usually your couch, or your baseboards, or herding your kids in circles around the kitchen. So what happens to your Saturday? Gone. Well, not gone, repurposed. You wanted to sleep in, and instead you're at the park at 7 a.m. throwing a ball until your arm gives out, and the dog's looking at you like, "That's it? That's all you got?" People think they'll fit it in around their life. That's the mistake. You don't fit the Aussie around your life. Your life reorganizes around the Aussie.
Your friends learn that you leave things early, that you're always kind of half thinking about whether the dog's been run yet. I don't know. Some people love that, the structure, the built-in reason to be outside. But you should know it's coming before it shows up on your doorstep with a leash in its mouth.
You go to the bathroom, the dog comes with you. You didn't invite the dog invited itself, and now it's sitting on your feet, staring up at you, and you're just living like this now. They call them Velcro dogs, and it's a cute little name until you actually live inside it, because what it really means is the dog has decided the two of you are one unit, not loves you a lot. More like cannot conceptually process that you are a separate being who might go somewhere without it. And that's sweet, right? Until you have to leave the house. Then the sweet thing becomes a problem, because a dog this bonded doesn't do alone. Some of them handle it fine, sure, but a lot of them spiral, barking, pacing, chewing through a door, actually through it. The neighbors start leaving notes. That kind of thing. Here's what gets people, though. It's not that the dog is broken or badly raised. This is the breed working exactly as designed. Aussies were bred to stick to a person all day, out on the ranch, reading your body language, anticipating your next move. You took that dog and put it in an apartment and left for 9 hours. Of course it's losing its mind. You'd lose your mind. So you crate train, you do the slow departures, you leave the TV on, the whole routine. And it helps, mostly. But some part of that dog is always going to be a little bit tuned to the sound of your keys, which, look, is either the best thing about them or the thing that eventually breaks you. Depends on the day, honestly. You teach an Aussie to sit. Great. Except now sit has conditions. Sit means on carpet, when I feel like it, if the treat looks worth it. You didn't teach a command. You opened negotiations. Here's what nobody tells you about a dog this smart.
Smart doesn't mean obedient. Smart means they're running cost-benefit analysis on every single thing you ask. A dumber dog just does the thing. An Aussie does the thing and then watches your face to see if there's a better deal available next time. They learn your tells. They know the difference between come here and come here. The second one, the one that means it, that's the only one they respond to. The first one's a suggestion. And they've clocked that. They've filed it away. And they test constantly. Not out of spite. They're not plotting against you. They're just checking.
Is the rule still the rule today? What about now? What if I do it slightly wrong? Does that still count? It's like living with a tiny, furry lawyer who bills you in patience. The thing is, they'll actually train beautifully. World class even. Border collie tier stuff. But only if you're consistent. And I mean consistent to a degree that's kind of exhausting. One wobble, one, just this once, and they've learned the whole system's negotiable. You think you're the one setting the terms. You're not. You're both at the table, and one of you does this for a living. Kid goes by on a scooter, your Aussie's whole body locks, ears up, weight forward, and there's this noise, low. You know the one. This is the herding thing, and people underestimate it right up until it's a problem. These dogs were bred for generations on purpose. That instinct doesn't switch off because you live in an apartment and the nearest sheep is 400 miles away. It just finds new targets. So the skateboard becomes a sheep, the jogger becomes a sheep, the neighbor's toddler wobbling across the yard, sheep. Anything that moves in a way that looks like it's getting away, that lights the whole thing up. And the nipping. Oh, the nipping. It's not aggression, and that's the part people get wrong. A herding dog nips at heels to move livestock. It's a nudge, not a bite. So when your Aussie darts in and taps the back of a running kid's ankle, in his head, that's a job well done. He's not attacking, he's herding. Try explaining that to the kid's parents, though, which is exactly why this behavior gets redirected early, before it ever becomes a real problem. You can manage it. You can train around it, redirect it, give the instinct somewhere useful to go. Frisbee, agility, actual sheep if you've got 'em. So every walk becomes low-key surveillance. You're scanning ahead for bikes, for runners, for that one kid on the Razor scooter who's about to have the strangest 30 seconds of his afternoon. You stop watching your dog, you start watching everything else. You put up a 4-foot fence, reasonable fence, keeps the neighbor's kid out, keeps your Aussie in for about a week. Then one afternoon you look out the window and the yard's empty. And you're standing there going, how? How did that happen? The gate's latched, there's no hole, nothing. And that's the thing about these dogs. They're not just fast. Let me put it a different way. They think. They watch. Your Aussie's been standing at that fence for 3 days, doing the canine equivalent of casing the joint. Where's the low spot? What's the wobbly board? Can I get up on the AC unit and go over the top? They work the problem. It's kind of unsettling, honestly. A bored Aussie is the problem. That's really what it comes down to. You get a dog bred to run 20, 30 miles a day moving sheep, and you park it in a suburban backyard with a tennis ball, and it's going to start looking for the exits. Not because it hates you, because it's got a brain running at full throttle and nothing to point it at. So people go taller. 6-foot fence. Great. Some of them climb, some of them dig,
straight down at the base, like they've got blueprints. I've heard people say they've come home to the dog sitting on the front porch, waiting, looking almost smug about it. The fix isn't a taller fence.
It never is. The fix is a tired dog. Wear the brain out, and the yard suddenly gets a lot bigger. Fourth of July. First big boom goes off somewhere down the block, and your Aussie's already behind the couch, shaking, trying to fold itself into a space the size of a shoebox, and nothing you do helps. You pet it, you talk to it, doesn't matter. It's just gone somewhere in its head you can't reach. This is the herding thing again, weirdly. These dogs are wired to notice everything, every movement, every sound, every little shift in the environment, because that's the job. A dog that catches the one sheep drifting off is a good dog, but you take that same hair-trigger nervous system and drop it into a world of thunderstorms and garbage trucks and, yeah, the vacuum. And now the superpower is a liability. The vacuum. God. Some of these dogs lose their minds at the vacuum. Not scared exactly, more like personally offended that this loud thing is invading and moving around unpredictably, and they can't hurt it or make it stop. So they bark at it. They nip the wheels, they follow it around the house, filing complaints. Thunder's the worst one, though, because you can't explain it. Fireworks stop eventually. A storm just sits there, rumbling, for an hour, and the dog's got no way to know it's not the end of the world. Some people work with their vet on anti-anxiety options. Some do the pressure wrap thing. Some just sit on the bathroom floor with the dog and wait it out. If you're going anywhere near medication, that's a conversation with your veterinarian, not the internet. But what definitely doesn't work is pretending it's not a big deal. To the dog, it's a very big deal. You don't have to fix it. You kind of just have to be there for it. $800. That's roughly what a single hip x-ray series runs you if your Aussie starts limping at 3 and the vet wants to check for dysplasia. And Aussies get it. Not all of them, but enough that it's not some freak thing. Here's the part nobody mentions when you're staring at that litter of fluffy tricolor puppies. This breed comes loaded. Collie eye anomaly, which is exactly what it sounds like, an eye that didn't form right. Progressive retinal atrophy, slow blindness basically. Epilepsy shows up more than you'd want. And the drug sensitivity thing, the MDR1 gene, where a dose that's routine for most dogs can hit an Aussie very differently. That's a conversation for your vet, not for me. The important part is that it's genetic, it's testable, and plenty of breeders still skip that test. So you buy the dog, $1,200, $1,500, whatever, and you think that's the cost. That's not the cost. The cost is the next 14 years. I mean, look, any dog can rack up that bills. I'm not pretending Aussies are uniquely cursed. But the ads, the cute reel, the puppy tumbling in the grass, they're selling you a moment. They are not selling you the emergency vet visit at 2 a.m. when the epilepsy kicks in and you're Googling seizure protocols with shaking hands. And the money's not even the worst of it, honestly. It's the helplessness, the watching. You can afford the specialist and still not be able to fix the thing. Get the health testing paperwork, actual paperwork, from the parents. If the breeder gets weird about it, that tells you everything. That gorgeous marbled coat, the blue-gray swirls, one ice-colored eye, that's Merle. It's a gene, and it's the reason those blue Merle Aussies cost more, because people see them and they want them. Fair enough, they're stunning. Here's what doesn't make the puppy ad. Merle is one of those genes where one copy gives you the pretty coat, and 2 copies, double Merle, is a genetic problem.
You breed 2 merles together, and roughly a quarter of that litter comes out double, mostly white, and a lot of them are born deaf or blind or both. Not sometimes has issues, born that way.
Because of a breeding decision somebody made to chase a look. And the thing that gets me, this is known. This is not a mystery. Any breeder who's read anything knows you don't double up Merle. It's genetics 101 for this breed. So when you come across Merle to Merle litters being produced anyway, that's rarely a knowledge gap. Somewhere in that decision, a look got prioritized over a puppy's hearing and eyesight. I'm not naming anyone here. I'm telling you what question to ask before you hand over a deposit. The tricky part is you can't always eyeball it. There's a thing called cryptic Merle, where the dog carries the gene but barely shows it. Looks like a regular solidish coat. So a breeder who isn't testing can pair 2 Merles without even realizing it, and boom. Which is why you ask, what are the parents' genetics? Show me the tests. And if the answer is some hand wave about how they've never had a problem, walk. Just walk. The coat's beautiful, I get it, but somebody's gotta actually understand what's under it. "45 minutes around the block. That's what your friend with the lab does, twice a day. And that lab is thrilled. Comes home, flops on the floor, done. Good dog. Try that with an Aussie. You'll walk it, and it'll come home and it'll stand in the middle of the room looking at you like, that's it? That was the thing? Because to an Aussie, a walk isn't exercise, it's a warm-up. You've woken the animal up. You have not tired it out. Those are 2 completely different jobs, and you just did the wrong one. See, this is a dog that was bred to run mountains all day, moving sheep, making decisions, working. That's in there. That doesn't go away because you live in an apartment. So a stroll where it just sniffs stuff and pees on a mailbox, that barely registers. The body's tired-ish, maybe. The brain's still going 100 miles an hour. And that's the part people miss. It's not about miles. It's about the head. You can walk this dog till its legs are sore, and it'll still be a menace at 9 p.m. because the brain never got touched. It needs a job. A puzzle. Something to figure out. Frisbee, agility, hiding treats, teaching it the names of 40 toys. Whatever. It needs to think. So you don't get to have the easy version. The one where you clip on a leash, do a loop, and consider your dog handled. That dog doesn't exist. What you signed up for is a second workout every single day, forever, and it doesn't care that you're tired. You know what a normal dog does when you leave for a week? It's fine. You board it or your neighbor swings by. It sulks a little, and then you come back and everybody's happy. That's the deal with most dogs. They miss you and they recover. An Aussie doesn't board well. I mean, some do, sure, but a lot of them treat a kennel like a personal crisis. 10 dogs barking in concrete runs, no job, no routine, nobody who's theirs. That's about the worst possible environment you could design for a brain like this. They come out frazzled. Some go off their food for days. Some develop stress behaviors, the pacing, the spinning, the obsessive grooming, and those habits can stick around long after you're back. It's rough, and it's worth planning around. And okay, say you skip the kennel, you get a sitter. Now you're interviewing people because it can't just be somebody who fills a bowl twice a day. This dog needs the walk, the mental thing, the whole program from a stranger who it may or may not decide to trust. Aussies get weird about strangers, so sometimes you've paid somebody good money to be barked at for a week while your dog hides under the bed. So what happens is, slowly you just stop going places. You start picking hotels by whether they take dogs.
You do the long drive instead of the flight because the flight means leaving it.
Every trip becomes a logistics problem with one variable that outranks all the others. Spontaneous weekend away? With who? Not you. You've got a 40-pound dependent at home who falls apart when you're gone and can't be handed off to just anyone. That's not a pet anymore. That's a standing appointment you can't cancel. And it's the exact logic that gets everybody. You've got one Aussie. He's bored. He follows you room to room. He stares at you. He's clearly a genius with nothing to do. And somebody, a friend, a breeder, the voice in your own head, says the thing. He just needs a friend, a buddy, another dog to burn off some of that energy.
So you get the second one. And now you don't have twice the energy. That's the part nobody warns you about. You've got the energy squared. Because they don't tire each other out. They wind each other up. One starts hurting the other starts hurting back. And suddenly, there's a 2-dog freight train doing laps around your kitchen island at 7 in the morning. They invent games, loud ones, games with rules only they understand, and a scoring system that seems to involve knocking over the same plant twice. And the herding instinct, that thing you were trying to give an outlet for, it doesn't get an outlet. It gets a partner. Now they've got a co-conspirator, somebody to bark at the vacuum with, somebody to lose their mind at the mail truck with, in stereo. I think people picture 2 dogs napping together in a sunbeam. Sweet, peaceful. What you actually get is a tag team, a committee. 2 smart, restless animals who have now formed, a union, and the union has demands. Mostly the demand is, throw the ball, again. No, again. The friend didn't solve anything. The friend brought a friend. Every single thing on this list is true. The herding, the noise, the way they'll dismantle your entire routine and hand it back to you rearranged. All of it. And knowing all of it, start to finish, most of us would sign up again tomorrow, which, when you say it out loud, sounds a little unhinged. But here's why. When an Aussie decides you're theirs, the whole force of that ridiculous brain points at you. All of it. That intensity that wrecks your couch is the same intensity that means the dog is never, ever bored of you. You come home, you've been gone 20 minutes, and you'd think you got back from war. Nobody in your life is that happy to see you. Nobody. And the smart thing cuts both ways. Yeah, they outthink you, they get bored, they find trouble, but they also learn you. They clock your moods. They know when you're off before you do, and they just come sit near you. Don't make a thing of it, just there. I used to think people who talked about their dogs like this were exaggerating, being dramatic. Turns out, no, they just had a dog that paid attention. So you trade. That's the deal, really. You give up the quiet mornings and the intact furniture and the idea that you're ever the smartest one in the house. And you get this relentless, exhausting, completely devoted little shadow who thinks you personally hung the moon. Bad trade on paper. Best trade I can think of. Would it ruin your life? Sure, a little, in the ways that turn out to matter least. $15, that's the number. An Aussie in decent shape, decent genetics, decent vet care, you're looking at 12 to 15 years, sometimes more. And people hear that and they go, oh, great, long life, love that. Sure, love that. Except nobody does the actual math on what 15 years means. Think about where you were 15 years ago. Different job, probably, maybe a different city, maybe a whole different person you were dating or married to or hadn't met yet. The dog you're bringing home today is going to be there through all of that, the next version of it anyway. And this isn't a goldfish. This isn't a pet you kind of maintain in the background while your life happens around it. An Aussie needs you every day. Not I'll walk it when I get around to it. I mean actual engagement, actual work for the entire run. Year 1, when it's a maniac puppy, sure, everyone signs up for that. Year 8, when you've got a newborn and a job that's eating you alive, and the dog still needs a solid hour of real exercise or it starts unraveling, that's the part nobody reads. And here's the thing people really don't clock. The demand doesn't taper much. A senior Aussie isn't some mellow blanket that sleeps by the fire. It still wants a job. It still wants you.
So when you take one of these home, you're not getting a dog. You're signing something, a 15-year thing, and the fine print is just the whole rest of your life, basically. The intelligence gets sold as a feature. Smartest breed, top of every list, so easy to train. And yeah, they learn fast.
Scary fast. What nobody mentions is that the learning goes both ways, and it doesn't have an off switch. You lose your temper once, one bad day, one moment where you raise your voice when you shouldn't have, which you shouldn't, ever, and I'll say that plainly, and this dog files it, keeps it. And Aussie clocks patterns you don't even know you're making. The specific way you grab the leash before a vet trip versus a walk, the tone shift in your voice that means you're about to leave. They're reading you constantly, building this whole model of you, and it includes the parts you'd rather it didn't. That's the real argument for patience with this breed. It isn't just kinder, it's the only thing that actually works. So you get these dogs that develop grudges isn't the right word. It's more like they've decided something about a situation and they are not budging. The one time the nail clipper pinched, done. That relationship's over. You will be negotiating with this animal about its feet for years. And the flip side, which is almost worse, they hold you to your own rules. You said no couch. You meant no couch. Then one exhausted night, you let it up. One time. And congratulations, you've just rewritten the contract. They saw, they logged it. Good luck. A dumber dog forgets. A dumber dog you can fudge things with, be inconsistent, have an off day. Not this one. Every shortcut you take, every rule you bend when you're tired, it's all going in the file. You wanted a smart dog. Okay, it's smarter than you're being. Somebody rings the doorbell and your Aussie does the thing where the whole cluster of people who just walked in gets managed, nipped at the heels, circled, pushed toward the couch like sheep who wandered too far from the flock. And you're standing there going, sorry, he's friendly. He thinks you're Livestock. Because he does. That's not a bug. That's the entire dog. This is an animal bred for a couple hundred years to move things that don't want to be moved. And your dinner guests are things, and they are moving in a direction he did not authorize. Kids are the worst for this. Kids run. Running triggers it. So now your friend's 4-year-old is sprinting across the yard, and your dog is on him, low, cutting the angle off, steering him back toward the group. To be clear, this isn't aggression, and it isn't a bite. It's a herding behavior aimed at movement, and it's the same thing he'd do to a sheep that broke from the flock. But it involves contact. A 4-year-old can't tell the difference, and neither can the 4-year-old's mom, which is exactly why you manage the situation instead of hoping it goes fine. And you can train it down, sort of. You can teach a leave it, you can manage the environment, you can greet him when people come over. But the instinct itself doesn't go anywhere.
It's just in there, waiting. The second there's chaos and movement and a group that needs organizing, it wakes up. I think people hear herding breed and picture something quaint, a postcard, dog on a hill. What they don't picture is the ankle nipping at the barbecue, the constant low-grade need to control the room. It's charming for about a week, then your sister-in-law stops coming over.
Go on Pet Finder right now and search Australian Shepherd. Filter by your state. Look at how many there are. 2 years old mostly, some younger. And read the little blurbs. Needs an active home. Would do best without small children. Still working on leash manners. That's a specific kind of dog showing up over and over at a specific age. Here's why. People get the puppy. The puppy is stunning. Those coats, the eyes, sometimes one blue, one brown. And it's smart, and everybody says so. And for about 8 months, it's the best decision they ever made. Then the dog hits adolescence with a brain that needs a job and a body that won't quit. And the family that bought a good-looking pet realizes they actually adopted a full-time responsibility. So the dog gets less exercise than it needs, because who has 3 hours a day? And a bored Aussie doesn't just lie there and accept it. It finds work. Usually the work is destroying your house, or losing its mind about the mailman, or hurting the kids until somebody gets nipped. And around the 2-year mark, that's when the surrender happens. That's the age on all those listings. That's not a coincidence. I'm not saying don't get a rescue Aussie. Get a rescue Aussie. They're often wonderful, and a lot of them just landed with people who were in over their heads through no fault of the dog. What I'm saying is, that wall of listings is data. It's a bunch of people who thought they could handle it and couldn't. And you looking at that page should ask yourself, honestly, what's different about me? Go look at the rescue listings sometime, not the puppy ones, the 2-year-olds. That's the age it happens, almost every time. Dog hits 18 months, 2 years, the brain finishes wiring itself together, and the family that brought home a fluffy little tricolor puppy is suddenly living with a working animal that has decided the household needs managing. And the people surrendering them aren't villains. That's the part that gets me, honestly. Read the notes attached to those listings. They're not from people who got bored. They're from people who loved that dog and just ran out of road. So I don't want you clicking off this thinking I'm handing you a warning label. I'm not. Plenty of Aussies are, kind of easy. Calm in the house, fine with the kids, perfectly satisfied with a decent walk and a job that's basically exist near me. That dog is real. That dog is common enough that a good chunk of you watching are gonna go, yeah, mine does none of this stuff.
Good, that's great actually. But enough of them do that it fills up rescues. And almost none of those dogs are sitting there because something's wrong with them. They're sitting there because somebody guessed wrong about their own life, guessed wrong about their schedule, their yard, their patience at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, and nobody found out until it was way too late to unguess. Which is why I'd rather you sit through a list like this now on your couch for free than find out in month 14 when the dog stopped sleeping and started supervising. If you got all the way through that and your gut reaction was, yeah, I can handle that, look, go. Seriously, you're about to get one of the smartest, funniest, most stupidly devoted dogs you'll ever live with, and you'll spend the next decade telling people about him.